Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us today for our webinar, 5 Legal Marketing Trends for 2024. If you are jumping on right now, just go ahead and let us know where you're from, what kind of law you practice. And then we're going to get started in about 3 minutes.
Well, don't worry, Michael Pelletier is here.
I'm so glad. That's
so happy Mike's here.
Joined us. So glad you joined us, Mike.
Janet Eatman. Hi, Lauren, also from Charlotte.
Yes. This is my first time leading one of these. This is fun. I'm usually on the other side of it. So.
And the Marines used to say, just pretend like you've been there before and everyone will assume you were. So
I've done this a lot.
You hadn't done your first one. Everyone is assumed it's like your 10th one.
Yeah, no.
Buffalo.
No, I do love talking, and I love talking about this topic. And so this is going to be really fun.
Alex, are you from Denver, North Carolina, or Denver, Colorado? I'm hoping you're somewhere in Colorado.
Guessing Colorado.
All right, way better. Yeah, we have a Denver, North Carolina. It's way better than the one in
North Carolina. Alex, did you know there was a Denver, North Carolina? Most people don't. There's also a Dallas, North Carolina.
There's a Poland, Maine, a China, Maine. There's a South Boston, Virginia. It doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, there's absolutely a South Boston, Virginia. Yeah. But Alex is from good. She's from good Denver.
You're from the Colorado Denver, the one that most people know about.
Yeah.
We got Nikki. Is that right? Is the way I'm pronouncing it? From Buffalo, New York.
Cool spelling.
Yeah, I like that.
Just don't say anything mean about the football team. Buffalo people love the Bills.
I love the Bills. The Bills are my and I'm a Panthers fan through and through, but Bills are my backup team.
Dylan would like you. Dylan's obsessed with Buffalo.
Yeah. Alex and Nikki, and Lauren too, will you let us know what kind of law you guys practice?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Look, we got an international friend. We got Renata from Mexico and Robert from Buffalo too. Go Bills. Corporate and transactions. That's great. Estate planning. Yes, we love our estate planning lawyers.
Estate planning.
Give it another minute to make sure we get everybody on who had registered for it. But yeah, excited to talk about this topic. I think, Eddie, is this your first webinar with Spotlight? At least your first one with me.
Definitely my first one with you. Absolutely.
Yeah. And for everybody that's jumping on, we're just asking if you'll drop where you're joining us from and what kind of law you practice. And then we're going to get started in about 30 seconds. But I am the marketing director here at Spotlight Branding. Eddie is one of our writers. And I asked him to be on here because he works with our clients daily. So he does that personal interaction with lawyers of all kinds of practice areas, all different ones. So that's why we like to know what kind of area you guys practice in, so then we can kind of tailor it to what you guys do.
And if you do have any specific questions, practice centric or practice related, anything specifically related to a practice, ask us. I mean, it's the marketing principles apply regardless. Nikki and I are with the same firm. All right. So yeah, Robert and Nikki. I mean, what are the odds of getting two people from Buffalo that didn't know each other? So that makes sense.
That's right. All right. We'll get started. And if you're just jumping in, if you're just joining us, we have about 3 or 5. If you're just joining us, we are presenting on the 5 legal marketing trends for 2024. Just letting you know, like, what your peers and what people are doing in your same areas of practice to get ahead. If you did not join us for the last webinar, John Henson did an amazing job of just going through and really doing like a high-level overview of our 2024 legal marketing trends report. It's something where we source hundreds of people who work in the legal space. So definitely a lot of lawyers, law firm owners, but then we're also talking to paralegals and other people that work in the legal space just to get their ideas of what they're doing as well. Eddie, do you have anything else you want to add to that? But John did a great overview of it. And so now we're going to dig into some of those specific stats from the Legal Marketing Trends Report and just go a little bit deeper to talk about what people in your same space are doing and what we learned from them. But Eddie, I'll let you have, if you have anything you want to add to that as well.
Oh, sorry, Mamie, our internet just went out here, so we just back in. So no, I
Okay,
apologize.
sorry.
We're back, yeah, we're in like crisis mode trying to fix our internet. Yeah, so we're good.
Yikes.
I apologize.
It's okay. Yeah, I was just saying. I was just telling everybody who has joined us that we source this from hundreds of lawyers across the country, right? And we talk to not just people who are are lawyers and law firm owners, and solo and small law firm owners, but we always also talk to paralegals and anybody who works in the legal space to get this information from. I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
No, I think John sent out 15,000 surveys over the course. I mean, it took us about 3 to 4 months to compile this. So this is the secret sauce. This is free. I mean, everything that we're giving here is it's relevant for us, and it's just equally relevant to people in law firms. So it's yours to have.
Yeah. So the reason I have Eddie on, I don't know if you heard me say this earlier, Eddie works with lawyers every single day. He's one of our copywriters. He works directly with them. He gets to know them. He gets to learn the way they speak so that he can write for them, so that he can do that writing for their blogs or for their social media captions that we do. And so Eddie really has that one-to-one relationship. I'm the marketing director here. I do a lot of traveling across the country, meeting people who are in the same space that you guys are in. But Eddie really has that one-on-one connection. And so that's why I asked him to be here today on this webinar, so that he could speak to what he's heard and what he's learned from working with attorneys.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to get started. So our first stat is that only 30% of firms are using AI. And if you are in the chat, if you'll just drop in the chat and let us know that if you are using AI in your law firm practice, because for me, I think so much with Spotlight, we have completely dove in is not the right word. And Eddie's going to yell at me because
No, do not say dove.
What is the correct term, Eddie?
We have embraced.
There you go. We have jumped headfirst into AI. We see it as a tool, right? We are not, we're not letting it do the work for us, obviously, but we are using it as a tool. And there's so many different ways that you can use it. So the fact that only 30% of firms are using AI was a really surprising stat to me. Mm-hmm. And so Brad Parker says his vendors are using it. Robert Noble says that they're using AI. But I think part of it is like they don't know what the rules are around it or how they should be using it. We definitely at Spotlight Branding use it as a tool. But Eddie, I would like to hear from you, like some of the misconceptions or some of the hurdles that you've heard for people to get over using AI, especially in the legal practice.
Absolutely. I mean, for in a content marketing agency, when you mention AI, it's the elephant in the punch bowl, right? I mean, anyone in and of a professional industry, the first thing they're going to realize is that the way they write, the way they communicate is going to speak volumes as to who they are, their professionalism, their background, their attention to detail. Many lawyers or anybody in a professional industry is very hesitant to use AI because they don't want to give that responsibility over to somebody else. They don't want to say, this is what's representing me, this is my voice, and it's very tough to capture. However, and we're going to bring this up, something we've said many, many times over, AI is not going to replace you, but law firms that are using AI will replace you. It is a tool. And if you have a skepticism, and this 30% definitely reflects what we're looking for when I speak to clients, I feel it's about right. I mean, in terms of the majority are saying, I'm not comfortable with this. And I just say it's a tool. However, it's an axe or is a heavy duty power tool. You have every right and reason to be hesitant to use it if you don't know how to use it correctly. So, I mean, we started using it in November of 2022, maybe. And the first time I used it, I said, we're done. I said, this is not for us. Like, we should just move on fast. 6 months later, I changed that just from after working with it and using and understanding how to use it. So yes, I think the key is not so much that AI is a problem, but using AI without understanding how to use AI will become a problem.
Absolutely. And I'll say Eddie specifically, we tasked him here at Spotlight Branding with really diving into AI, and he has done so much research into it. figured out what tools are good to use, which ones are not good to use,
Yeah.
which ones, and like which combination too, right? Because I think
Yeah.
one time we went over and looked through and thousands and thousands, and there's new ones coming out every single day, new AI
Mhm.
tools for different things, from video, from social media, from just straight right. I mean, most people know Chat GPT now, but there's 1,000 others out there that you can use
Oh
as
yeah.
well. So learning the right combination and which ones are going to work for you and the way that you work as well. But specifically, Eddie, in some of
Mhm.
the writing that we do for our clients,
Yeah.
kind of how do you use AI in that way?
I mean, AI is one of these things. I mean, it is the flavor enhancer. It is something that's going to make what you do better. So if I was I would explain this the other day. If I majored in philosophy, political science, and I'm MFA in writing. So if I were to go to use AI to help me create a blueprint for a house, it's going to come out. I can't tell you what the other end is going to look like. I can have something that's going to speak to a blueprint, but I couldn't tell you the validity or how accurate that blueprint is.
Mm-hmm.
However, because I have a background in writing, I was able to speak to it and teach it in a way that I could create quality products. I won't swear here because this is a professional platform, but Ernest Hemingway said the first draft of anything is complete trash. And then
Right.
trash is the word I'm subbing out here. And I still believe that. If you have a short amount of time, if you're able to use, we use text expanders. So it's allowing me to use just small abbreviations to create large chunks of text that I will do on a regular basis. So I'll plug in 900 to 1,200 words just to be able to get 600. I mean, and then again, I treat that as a first draft. But getting those 900 to 1,200 words and how to prompt it, which people sometimes refer to as super prompts
Mm-hmm.
or meta prompts, the more you're able to educate it, the better the product on the back end is. I mean, I'm telling it how to use adjectives. I'm telling it how to comma splices and split infinitives. I'm going down. I'm seeing patterns, and I'm adapting what my response is, and that's how I'm able to get a better product on the back end. I've worked with clients in this, and I said this is my first draft, and I'm using AI to create that based on these meta prompts / super prompts. And what you're getting from me is now a second or third draft
Mm-hmm.
versus if I have an hour to write something, I'm basically pumping out a second or third draft, which is remarkably better. The frightening element is what sometimes people get worried about is the research involved.
Right.
I mean, anything in there is, I mean, you should always, I mean, you don't rely on it. I mean, that's an assumption you never want to get caught doing. But yes, having a healthy dose of skepticism with the research and being able to really truly invest into a meta prompt or a super prompt. Again, free plug here, Text Expander. I've made massive gains with AI just from Text Expanders.
I think sometimes too people don't think of as Text Expander as an AI tool, right? Like
No.
I think of that, or even like autocorrect or things like
Mhm.
that are kind of that predictive text that sometimes
Yeah,
your email or your phone will do. That's AI
yeah,
technology as well. And I think some people
absolutely.
don't think of that as AI because they're so used to it. And so I think the other AI tools will also become more common and more used. And it
Yeah,
really is like when we say tool, that's what we mean, right? It is a tool
cool.
to come up with a different way to say something or a different way to think about something. A lot of times too, I will even if I'm at a roadblock and I'm stuck, I'll put it into AI and I may
Mhm.
not use one of the options they give me, but it'll help unlock what's in my brain that needs to be unlocked. And that's really helpful to me too. But I mean, we say it over and over and over at Spotlights. If you haven't heard us say it before, we're going to say it again now. Eddie said it earlier, but like
Yep.
AI is not going to replace attorneys. It's never going to replace lawyers.
Nope.
But lawyers that use it will be replaced by lawyers who don't, because it's just like any
Times,
other
yeah.
tool or any other technology that comes around, you'll be replaced by people who don't use it. Or people that don't use it will be replaced by people that do. So we're going to move on to the next one. But if you have any AI questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll come back to those at the end.
And Robert, I'd love to know how you're using AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Robert, drop that in there and let us know how you're using it or what tools you're using too. We can come back to that later. Our next one is that 41% of firms claim that they need more capacity to devote to marketing. I've said I'll hear this over and over and over again. I'll even hear sometimes, and this is not in a slide ahead and this is not included in this, but I'll also hear a lot of times, I don't have time. I don't have time to add any more clients. So, Eddie, what do you see when you're working with clients? Like, how do you combat that if somebody says,
Oh,
we need more time to devote to marketing, we just don't have it?
I challenge anybody that's a professional adult in the working world that has a family, who has children, that's gonna say, I have more time than I have ample time to devote to other things. I have this 2 hours of space that I'm not using right now. I'm happy to give it away. I mean, if you're saying you don't have the capacity to devote to marketing, you're with everybody else. I mean, this is not, you're not a one-off. This is universal. I'm going to take this back. We had about 2 years, maybe a year ago, we had a writers meeting with the ops director. And I mean, we had a lot of writing assignments. We were putting things out, and then one of the things that we said was, like, we don't have the capacity to write this much or this frequently or this volume. And we had this challenge to say, instead of times you say the word capacity, use the word efficiency. I was like, I'm not efficient enough to do this, or I'm not cutting the right things out. It was like, let's start with efficiency. So we work with clients and they say, I don't have the capacity. And that's we've devised ways of making things more efficient, so you can devote the time to marketing, a very minimal amount of time to devote to marketing. So when I write content, we will talk about content multiplication, I'm sure, at some point. But I'll start with someone's like, let's get the most leverage out of a 15-minute conversation. I can generate 3 months worth of content on 30 minutes of conversation. We can get information for your newsletter. If you're making a podcast, we turn the podcast into a blog. The blog becomes social media posts. The social media posts go to 4 to 5 different platforms. And on top of the 4 to 5 different platforms, we're also going to, we can create videos out of that. So there are multiple ways to take 30 minutes once a quarter, and you become efficient enough to devote to marketing. When people say they don't have the capacity to devote to marketing, all they're saying is, I haven't figured it out yet. I understand that I need it. I understand that it's a part of what we do here, but I haven't figured out how to incorporate it. And they assume it's going to take a large chunk of time. And we'll go this, and then we'll hit this again in a couple of slides from now. But I mean, you do have the time, because there are ways of making this efficient enough where you could only devote 30 minutes once every 3 months. And if for the amount of money that can come back your way for the investment of 30 minutes, it's well worth it. But there are ways to do it. If you're doing it wrong, yes, certainly you don't have the capacity. Absolutely.
Yeah, Megan Beaver in the chat asked a great question. Would you rather have your time back or your money back? I think that's a great question. That's a great question that we ask, whenever we're talking to people when we're out at events or out talking to people in person. That's something that we always ask them. Would you rather have your time back or your money back? And time, you can't make more time no matter what you do. There's no way to make more time. And also I'll say that capacity to devote to marketing, so much of that capacity is that learning curve, right? Mm-hmm. So if you go to school to be an attorney, you didn't go to school to be a marketer. One of my favorite things, I have an uncle who's an attorney. He's a family lawyer, and he actually went back to school after he graduated from law school and got his MBA, because he said, I did not learn how to run a business. I didn't learn how to do marketing in law school. And he said, they never taught me. And so I had to go back to school, and I had to learn the business of it too, because that's such a big part of it, that you go to school to be a lawyer. You don't go to school to learn marketing. And that's not, if you do have a course in that while you're in law school, I would love to hear from you guys too, from Robert, from Brad, from Alexandra, what part of law school included how to do marketing. And I would say maybe 1 or 2 courses that maybe were electives too. It's not part of the course. So that would be really interesting to me to hear, because so much of that is that learning curve. And so for us who, that's what we do. We do marketing. Eddie's a writer. He's a wonderful writer, and he's been trained in how to write for attorneys, and he writes for, hundreds of attorneys every single month. He turns these around. And so he just has so much experience. And all of us here at Spotlight Branding have that experience in marketing and in writing for attorneys, in speaking in the language that your clients or your potential clients are going to want to hear. And so I think that's what's part of it, because they don't feel like they have that capacity, because they have to learn it too from the beginning. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that before we move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the marketing can be the wild, wild west. And if you're unfamiliar with marketing, I mean, there are hordes of advertisers and marketers that are willing to take advantage of you and manipulate you in terms of getting your money. I mean, so yeah. And people know that they don't know what they don't know. Absolutely. Right. And I think Suffolk Law is actually teaching classes now. I think we're talking with people that are getting classes of marketing at law school now, because running a solo firm is a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Our next one is 33% of firms do not have a marketing plan. This was another one, just like the AI one. Like the one about not having the time to devote, that one I understood because I feel like I've heard that when I'm out and around. But this one, 30, they do not have a marketing plan. So they don't even know what they're going to do for marketing. And this is something that we talk about all the time. We actually have a marketing plan template on our website, spotlightbranding.com. You can go there, look under free resources, and you can access the marketing plan. It's free. It's absolutely free. We don't ask you anything for it. Megan, if you want to drop that in the chat for us too, the link to that, then that would be great. But that kind of blew my mind because so much of what we do and us working in the marketing field, right, is making that plan, that quarterly and that annual plan. And so I'm going to talk on this for a little bit, but then I'll let you talk on it, Eddie, too, because if you don't have a plan, then how do you know where you're spending your money? How do you know what you're doing? How do you even know what's effective in what you're doing? And I'm so passionate about this because it just really surprised me that, even if it was 5% don't have a marketing plan, that anybody doesn't have a marketing plan when you own a business is such a huge part of running a business. And you have to have that. Megan just dropped that link in the chat to the marketing plan. So you guys can click on that, download it, absolutely free, no charge to you guys at all. And it'll kind of show you how to run through and create your own marketing plan. And so much, Mark Cerniglia, our owner of Spotlight Branding, he'll talk about just penciling stuff in. And that's something that's been so even helpful for me as a marketing director here to just pencil it in, because I know that I'm going to want to send some emails out on something. I don't know what it's going to be in fourth quarter, but I know that I need to send some emails out, or I know that we're going to have a newsletter that goes out every single month. I don't know exactly what's going to be in the newsletter, but I can definitely pencil it in and say that's what's going to happen this month. I know that we're going to have to go to X number of events per year. And so I'll just put those on the plan. And that way, when the time comes closer, then I can go through and select what would be the best thing for us. But not having that plan, just that you don't know what's working. And you also don't know what's not working. So you don't know where to stop spending money and where to move things on to. Eddie, I'll let you answer or add anything else.
Yeah, cool. First of all, Rob, I see that you're using AI for marketing and LinkedIn posts, and you're also using for helping companies create AI strategies for their business. In our trends report, we actually talked about not only when people are using AI, but what are they using it for. I won't quote the exact number. I mean, it's not what you know, it's what you can reference. And I always keep the 2024 trends report near me. But we do. There is a significant portion of the people that are the firms that are using AI are devoting it toward marketing. Now, here's the other way to look at this. I mean, this is how crazy this stat is to me. And this is how it impacts me, like working with clients. So for example, someone calls me, I get a phone call and they say, X person has a real big problem with you, which isn't that shocking if you know me. I'm like, say no more. Say no more.
That's not true, Eddie. Yeah. Everybody loves Eddie. It's
I after finding out someone has a real big problem, I hang up the phone and I go to find an attorney. I go to a criminal defense attorney, a family law attorney, and an estate planning attorney, or a probate litigation attorney. And I said, I got a real big problem. And they said, okay, I mean, what's your problem? I don't know. I don't know what my problem is yet. I don't know what I need to solve. And asking a family law attorney to defend me in court, or a criminal defense attorney to get me through a divorce, is about as wide ranging as marketing services get. There are a multitude of marketing services. It's not a one size fits all. It is not a catch all phrase. There are multiple ways to attack this. So you first have to understand what your plan is. Understand what your plan is, and so you can understand how to solve it. And if you don't know what your plan is or what problem you need to solve, once you start working with a marketing agency, they're going to apply their tactics to do. I mean, because you can't just say, get me more clients. It doesn't necessarily work like that. There are several strategies in which you can do that. And there are even subcategories of subcategories and how that's achieved. For us, it's very much focused on lead nurturing. Lead nurturing is the difference between hunting and farming, right? I mean, hunting is like going out and getting new clients. Farming is talking to your existing network and nurturing leads and getting a repeat business. And that's what we do here. So a lot of times when I meet with clients, especially if they don't have a marketing plan, and most of them don't, they'll come in saying, well, I just want more clients, or I just need better clients, or I want more X amount of clients this year. I want 12 more clients based on my social media posts, or I want 7 more clients based on my website. If I could do that, I wish I could. It's kind of a sort of Spartan marketing in terms of how you can accomplish that. However, I mean, but if you have a plan in terms of, even if you just know what your problem is, definitive plan of what my problem is, you can apply that to different marketing strategies saying this is going to cover me. I mean, sometimes people will contact us saying, I have no clients, I have no existing network, I'm fresh. I mean, this might not be the right spot for you. Because you don't have an audience to nurture yet. I mean, there are different ways of doing it. You might be more focused on lead generation. So yeah, an attorney who doesn't know what their marketing plan is the same way as a person like me going to an attorney trying to solve a problem, but I don't know what problem I'm trying to solve yet because of the family law. I don't know if I can help you. I have a certain skill set. I just don't know what my skill applies to your needs. Mm-hmm. The other catch side of the other side of this is that 35% people either on top of this 33 either didn't have a plan in the last year, or they've updated in the last year, or it's been so far gone they don't know what their plan is anymore. So now you're going from 33 add to 35, and I'm pretty sure that's 88 or 68. I didn't say 88 first. I meant to say 68. So now we're looking at over 2/3 of people that have either a no marketing plan or have a very weak marketing plan. They haven't updated. I mean, it's like trying to drive to California, not having a compass heading and with a blindfold on. So yeah, you know what your problem is before you try to solve it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think the way you put it, Eddie, is perfect. Like going to see an attorney, you don't even know what your problem is. You're not even at the right one, right? Right. You're getting a divorce and you're going to a criminal defense attorney. Maybe you need that.
Knowing me, I need all three.
Probably not. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so important. I would love to hear from you guys that are here, that are practicing attorneys, what issues that you're having, or do you have a marketing plan, right? Is that something that is even part of the marketing that you do? So just say yes, no, we have one, we don't have one.
Absolutely nothing wrong if you don't have one either. No judgment.
That go around those, but we're going to move on. Nothing wrong. Yes. Megan was kind enough to drop that in the chat. And so you can download that marketing plan for free. Create your own if you don't have one. Nice. Next slide. 55% of law firms handle marketing themselves. And I will tell you, when I was creating this presentation, I had a lot of people ask me why we had both in there. Don't have enough time to devote and handle marketing themselves. And the reason I wanted to include this is because so many times they are handling marketing themselves. So lawyers, and this is what I went to earlier, right? Lawyers went to school to be lawyers. You went to school to be an attorney. You didn't go to school to do marketing. Just like you wouldn't want me defending you in a criminal court case, you shouldn't do your own marketing. It's the same thing. And this is what I say whenever I'm out talking to attorneys, when I'm out, meeting people and talking to people. I always say, like, you don't want me handling your estate planning. You don't want me handling your family law issues. You don't want me handling any of that. You should not be doing your own marketing. Brad and Robert both said they both have marketing plans. So great jobs. But Robert said that his is just recent, which is really great. And so I love that he's implemented one, and I hope that it's been super effective for you, Robert, and in your practice. But the other part of it is, and this is a real world example. I was just in New York speaking with some lawyers last week, and one of the companies that we've taken over they are estate planning attorneys, and they had us take over the social media. And it was actually his wife that came up to me, who does not work for the firm. She doesn't work with them at all. And she said, thank you, Spotlight Branding, for taking it over, because I can see a difference and I don't have to do it anymore. So he had his wife, who didn't even work for the law firm, didn't even work for his firm, was not a paralegal, was not one of the office managers, but she was running the social media. And she was like, I can see the difference in the time that it's given me back. And I can also see the difference in the response we're getting, right? And the content that you're putting out, because so much of what we do, and we haven't even touched on this yet, but with Spotlight Branding, we're putting out evergreen content.
So Eddie, evergreen content is content what that evergreen content is that we put out. So a lot of times we'll talk to attorneys. I mean, especially if you're a business law attorney, the CTA has been all over the place. We're just talking about the FTC and non-competes. So these are very relevant topics in the legal community, and it's okay to touch upon that once. 20% of the time, 10% of the time. But the majority of the time, when you're creating evergreen content, you're hitting on something that is going to be timeless, that your target audience is going to turn to regardless of the year. What's worse than clicking on a blog that's 6 years old? It's fine if it's 6 years old, but the topic is 6 years old. Is the CTA going to be relevant 6 years from now? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm saying in terms of, if I understand what are the effective, what are the 5 steps I need to do right now before I meet with an estate planning attorney. I just got served with divorce papers. What is X, Y, 3 things I need to do? I'm having trouble co-parenting. And what are steps that that I can take to become a better co-parent? And the wonderful thing about attorneys, especially the 55% that know how to handle marketing themselves, remember too, the best thing about an attorney is your time is so quantifiable. You bill by the hour. You understand what it costs by an hour. Remember when I was a sophomore in high school, they told me, hypothetically, if Michael Jordan can type X amount of words per minute, should he become a secretary or should he become a typist? The answer is no, because he can make a lot more money playing basketball. Can an attorney write a blog? Absolutely. I should hope you should write a blog. This is your world. However, the opportunity cost of you sitting down to write a blog is too great, especially it's 20. So if you're devoting time, if you're one of those 55% that is taking time out of your legal career to market, you're not only losing money directly, but you're also losing money indirectly. So it's coming at you from both places. And again, I have an MFA in writing, but very few attorneys have I met, and there might be some, but very few can't write a blog. There's without a doubt. So you can do this. We understand that you can do this. I think the other thing that really things you cannot get away with is websites. I see a lot of attorneys saying, a friend of my sister-in-law made my website. Isn't it great? It's like handing someone a crumpled business card. I can't program websites. We have graphic designers here. We have account managers and copywriters that all work together to create websites. It's a team. So yeah, you never actually ever take the moment not to contact a marketing agency. Your time's too quantifiable.
Yeah, absolutely. Apologies. My neighbor is mowing his grass right now. I hope you can't hear that. That's real world stuff. Yes, you're joining me from my beautiful kitchen today. So apologies for that if you guys can hear that going on in the background. And I'll also say, Eddie, everything you said was absolutely spot on, right? Like you're losing time is the same question Megan asked, right? You want more time or more money? We cannot get our time back. And you're losing when you're losing that time spending it writing social media captions, trying to design a website yourself, trying to write blogs yourself, trying to put together, design a beautiful newsletter that's going to send out to your whole network. You're just taking up billable hours, right? You're spending that time, or your paralegals doing that, or your office manager, or your wife, or your daughter, or some kid down the street. We used to call it Joe in the garage is back there doing it. They're taking up that time. They're taking up that money, right? You're not devoting time to what you do best. And so that's what we can do at Spotlight Branding is take that off of you and help you do it. We'll move on to the next one. 40% of firms do not send an email newsletter. This was so surprising to me because this is one of the simplest things you can do.
Oh my goodness!
It's your current network. Eddie, I'm gonna let you take this over.
We had an internal meeting after the trends report came out, and our CEO said this is the number one thing that was most shocking to him. It's not only the 40% that do not send an email newsletter, but 20% on top of that either didn't send it regularly or they did it inconsistently. So now you're looking at 60%. When people come to me and they ask us, what is one thing I should have? Bang for your buck, as shocking as this is not fancy and flair for the dramatic. Take the newsletter every day. Take the newsletter all day for the amount of time and money and cost you will incur for sending out an email newsletter. It is irreplaceable. It is a vehicle. So if you are writing blogs on your website, who's reading them? You need a transfer vehicle. You need to get someone from point A to point B. The newsletter accomplishes that. And tell it to clients all the time too. Now, the other thing too is we talked about earlier about the difference between hunting and farming. If you've been an attorney 5-10 years, I asked this one, I've done in-person meetings. I said, how many people have you helped? How many people have looked you in the eye, hugged you, have shook your hand and said, thank you. You got me through a really tough time. You helped me close this deal. I'm in a better place now than when I started. So those people are your best salespeople in the world. They're out there singing your praises. Not only that, but they're also talking to people that are like-minded. So they're going to talk to people like themselves. They're in their industry that they get along with. So not only could you possibly increase your referrals by staying in contact with your past clients vis-a-vis a newsletter, but you can also get better quality clients that work with, or the friends of your friends are also your friends. And so this is how you get more clients, and you get better clients simultaneously. And I mean, the funny thing about a newsletter, maybe we get open rates for our clients. It's usually about 40%. And clients usually push back for two things. They said, one, you know what, I don't want to annoy people. And number two, I said, what if they just delete it? Number one, I have yet to have a single complaint from any person saying, stop sending my newsletter. I'm burning this bridge because you sent me my newsletter. Okay, it hasn't happened yet. And secondly, you're only sending once a month. But to reinforce that, hypothetically, even if they were to delete the newsletter, and we hope that they don't, or because our open rates are about 40%, 30s, 40s. Absolutely.
Which is, if you don't know, that's above the industry average for
Great
newsletters.
point.
That is,
I mean, usually the industry
double,
average,
triple what the industry average is for.
It's like 17. If you get between 17 to 28% on an email direct campaign, that's usually pretty standard. I mean, a lot of our clients are getting about 40. And why are we above the industry standard? Because we're amazing at newsletters? Maybe, but also because they're sending it to people that are already in your existing network that already like you. It's not the hardest sell. You're talking about people who are most aware of what you do and what you offer. And I before I mentioned, what if they delete it? What if they delete it? Worst case scenario, they delete it. They still saw your name. And I pointed this out. I mean, anyone in the office knows. I mean, I'm divorced. I talk about it all the time. About 3 months after my divorce, I had an attorney who was giving me free consultations toward the end because I listened to him. We got along very well. 3 months after we stopped working with each other, I could not remember his name. And a friend of mine came up to me and said, can you recommend me an attorney? I had the opportunity to sell this attorney to this woman, and I missed the opportunity. And furthermore, he missed the opportunity because he has not stayed in touch with me. Is it his fault? Is it my fault? Who knows? A lot of things happen. But with the newsletter, you're staying top of mind. You're just giving a little refresher saying, hey, I exist. This is what I do. So next time someone asks me or someone like me, hey, do you know such and such? There's a yeah, I do, because they stay in touch with me. I might have deleted the newsletter, but I still saw it. Or I do enjoy the newsletter because it's educational, informative content that's solving problems that I have.
Yeah, and in case you guys haven't listened to our podcast this week specifically, Eddie is one of the co-hosts of our podcast, Law Firm Marketing Minute. And one of the things that you guys talked about this week was the stages of awareness, right? It was unaware, problem aware. I'm not going to say them all right, but solution aware. You know, they know, like, sometimes people don't even know they have a problem, right? They don't know they have a problem. But if you are continuously showing up in their inbox when they have that problem, when they know they have it, like example, you guys were talking about someone who needed an estate planning attorney because they saw something go horribly wrong with another friend whose parent or spouse had passed away. And then something like that happens to him, or they hear that story and they're like, yes, I need to have my estate planned. One of the things with that is, like, who are they going to think of first? And if you're constantly showing up in their inbox once a month, right, that's not being annoying. Think about on Black Friday, how many email newsletters you got, how many emails you got to say announce. I did not go through and delete all of those. Or I may have opened one or two of them, but I saw every single one of those come into my inbox. So even if they're not opening it, but one of the special things that we do here at Spotlight Branding, and Eddie, you can touch on this some, is that we put actually one of the articles in the subject line, right? We put the title of the article in the subject line of the newsletter that we send. So even if they're not opening that newsletter, they're seeing what you do. So they're seeing the helpful content that you're providing. Yeah. So then they can go through, and a fancy marketing term is called the view through. So they're going to see your content. So even if they don't click on that content to read it, then they're going to remember that, and they're going to go and do a Google search. They're going to look for your social media. They're going to look for your website. They're going to look for anything else that you have where you're going to show up.
There's a difference between like permissive and interruption marketing, right? I mean, so like, I always talk about people when they buy Hulu. I mean, do you pay for the ads? And most people say they skip the Hulu ads. I mean, why would you want to be interrupted? Nobody wants to be interrupted when they're like watching Parks and Rec. They don't want to see insurance commercials. In the same way that an email newsletter works, I mean, because you're putting informative and educational content in there, it's going to speak to a problem. your clients are, you're in a service-based industry. Your clients have problems and they need a service, they need a solution. Many times what the newsletter does is it connects that problem with a specific solution, and it elevates them on the client journey. So it was maybe touched upon the levels of awareness. The second one's problem aware, and the third one's solution aware. Because a lot of your clients are very aware that they have a problem. They're not necessarily aware of what the solution is, or how the solution unfolds, or how it plays out. But your newsletter makes that connection and brings them one step further on the client journey. And I said permissive marketing because of the educational content. They're willing to invite you in. You're giving them free stuff. We're talking right now about marketing. I mean, we've always said in our company, if we had the recipe for secret sauce, we'd give it away. In the same way we're doing it right now. And the tactics we employ with our clients are the same ones we use at Spotlight Branding. There is no secret here. We're doing the same exact thing you are. And we've been in business for over 10 years. So yeah, that newsletter is making that jump. Exactly. And for bang for the buck, for whatever the newsletter does, for the lowest amount of cost and for relatively low amount of work, you're getting a lot of leverage.
Absolutely. All right.
That's it. As I was saying, you're fooling me. I was 5.
No, we don't. We did them all. We did them all. We did it. I miscounted. Yes. So we have some time for questions. If you guys have any questions, if we want to go back and, refer to anything else that we do. I know Robert mentioned something about the AI strategy that he used. Eddie, you touched on that a little bit. So yeah, any questions anybody has, and I do just want to plug us, Spotlight Branding, Eddie and Smike. And John also do some amazing social content. Eddie is nice enough to be our kind of Google client, our stereotypical Google client. They do some hilarious content. If you're not following on Instagram, it's Spotlight Lawyer. On Instagram, Spotlight Branding. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on all the things. So make sure you're following that if you just want to have some fun and watch some fun content. I mentioned before, Law Firm Marketing Minute. We have a new, if you're a fan of John has been doing our Law Firm Marketing Minute for years, been doing an amazing job with it. But he's decided to step away and take a break from that. And so Eddie and Smike is our social media manager. His name's Mike, but we shorten it to Smike for fun. They're doing a great job. We just launched the new version of our podcast this week. So it's more interactive, but it's still short, like really short, really easy consumable while you're brushing your teeth, while you're driving to work, whatever you're doing. You're able to just get those little snippets of things that are going to help you. So this week, like I said, we were talking about the stages of awareness. On Fridays, we release the full episode as well. So if you want to listen to it all in one chunk, you can do that on Fridays too. So it's just a really fun way and content we're putting out. And like Eddie said, right, the secret sauce, like we're here telling you how to do things.
Robert.
Robert, I love this question. Oh, Robert, you just touched a
So Robert, I started my career as a copywriter, as an SEO. I worked for a tech company, and I ended up. So what I was doing, I had this tech company. They had a product. And my job was to use SEO, search engine optimization, to get them on the first page of Google. That was my entire job for the first 6 months of that company. I said, I don't care what you do, just get on the first page. For anyone that's not aware of SEO is there's multiple ways of employing this, but you're using keywords, you're using links. There's ways to optimize your website so it populates on the first page of Google. Now, the two issues with this. One is that, and I'll give you the closer at the end. So 2 issues plus a closer. The first issue is that, yes, I got this tech product on the first page of Google, and I was incessant with the keywords. But the website was complete trash. And this is why I ended up leaving the company. I thought I was ripping people off. It was basically saying, I'm going to take all my money, I'm going to put it into a billboard outside of a restaurant. It's a beautiful billboard. It's going to attract cars. They're going to pull off the highway and go to my restaurant. The problem is the restaurant hadn't been up. I mean, they hadn't cleaned it. There were rats in there. They weren't even serving food. So yes, the billboard got people to the restaurant, but nobody was staying for the party. And the equivalent of that is that my website was so packed with keywords that were gibberish, and they were saying repetitive phrases over and over again, that nobody was willing to engage with the content. So when we ask about people, and again, I'll give the closer at the end about SEO. The element here with the SEO is that there are limited spaces on the first page of Google. There's the easiest way to populate on Google is to have your name get directly in the search bar. It's also the most cost efficient. So if there are X amount of people in your area, it becomes a bidding scenario as to how quickly can I pack my website with keywords and little bot crawlers to get to the front page. And you end up watering down your content so badly that people might get there, but they're not necessarily going to read it. So it becomes a situation where you're sacrificing your quality in order to get people there, but not necessarily people want to be there. So again, when you get people to your web page, they're trying to advance them along the client journey. We talked about people that were problem aware, right? So they had a problem, but they were not aware what the solution was because the content wasn't able to get them to that next stage. No one's going to get to your website, even if it's on the first page, and look at it and say, okay, I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to make that jump. That's about a 3-step jump right there. Now, the closer in here, if you ever go into the Spotlight Branding Report, branding website, we have the anti-SEO report. One of the weirdest things about us, and this is two phases, that we're not necessarily anti-SEO, but what we are people that prioritize SEO as the base. Content makes all forms of marketing better. Content makes all forms of marketing better, to include SEO. Yep. So if you start with SEO, like I did for that tech company, you end up becoming successful at your own detriment. So it's one of those things, like I got people there, but no one was staying. And I was charging a lot of money to do this. And I ended up leaving, and I found a content marketing agency, and this is where I am now. So we are not anti-SEO. And the last thing I want to point out is that even if you do content and don't touch upon keywords, you can read a blog on our Spotlight branding page, is that content works for SEO to a certain degree. There are certain, we explain what SEO is, how content works. Yeah. Pure content without keywords, will that get you to the first page? But so we talk about that. So yes, there is a certain element of content that automatically works for SEO purposes. But yes, what I'm saying is, yes, if you're about to launch a new website, I'm just saying I would focus on your content prior to organic SEO. Yeah, that's what thank you, Megan. Organic SEO. Organic SEO is what content is, value-based. I said this over and over again because it's permissive. Value-based educational content will get people along the journey. And if it works organically, it'll also drive traffic to your site too. So yeah, just don't put the cart before the horse.
Right. Absolutely. And that's, not just the stuff in the content with keywords, but Robert, you're in Buffalo, New York. And so, the number of, and I think that you're a privacy lawyer, I think is what you said you are. And so the number of the competition that you have there, I'm sure is fierce. I'm sure you're not the only one that's doing what you're doing. And so spending time, money, effort, trying to get on that first page of Google or get to the top, the top place on Google is just going to waste your time. It's going to waste your money. It's going to waste your effort. So what's going to help you get clients and get the kind of clients that you want, right, is putting out that relevant content that's going to keep you top of mind. So that's the newsletter, that's the blog, that's keeping up with, relevant social media content, and that evergreen content. So no matter when somebody comes to your website, to your news, receives your newsletter, finds you on social media, whenever that is, the content that's
and Robert,
be relevant to them and what they need.
I don't know how long you've been in practice for, but the fact is, how many, again, I'll go back to that question, how many people have you helped? The people that you've helped don't need to find you. They're going to put your name directly in the search bar as long as you stay in contact with them. So it's just, I think we talk a lot about this, is that when SEO came out, a lot of people kind of lost their minds thinking this is the only way I can market myself. And I have to scrape, scratch, and claw to get in that first page. So with organic SEO or content, you're talking to your existing network, and we're going to that stark difference between hunting and farming. SEO is more of a hunting thing. It's getting cold leads. Anyone's going to type in Alabama family law divorce attorney, it might well find a family law divorce attorney in Alabama, but they're going cold. And not necessarily, this might not be the type of person you want to work with either. So we're just going back to this thing. It's like when you have content and you're constantly staying in touch with your existing network, the people that love you, the people that will vouch for you, and they're willing to engage with your content and share it with people that are like-minded or have the same problems, it creates better clients, and it's a lot cheaper. And this is why I ended up leaving SEO, because we were charging all this money to do this, and it wasn't. I don't know necessarily I was achieving any sort of tangible result. That's why I backed out of it. I'm not anti-SEO. I'm just anti-prioritizing it, number one. start with content. Always start with content. You're welcome, Robert.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, Robert and Fanny had a great comment in there. Google is price shopping clients, right? And that's what we do. That's the fun that we have on social media with like the client from Google. They're just wanting the best deal. They don't understand what you do. They don't understand the value that you have and all the experience that comes behind you, right? They're going to call and say, "Can I get my free consultation?" It's the first thing they're going to ask you. So, Robert, yeah, I'm glad that was helpful to you. We got about 10 minutes left. We'll still, if you have a question, drop it in the chat. We'll still answer it. But we're going to go to the last slide that we have here is you can get your trends report. So we're going to drop that link in the chat. But if you have not, we assume that most people have come here because they have already read the trends report, want to do a deeper dive. But if you've not read the trends report yet, you can get a free copy. If you would like a physical copy, just type in the chat physical copy. We'll find a way to reach out to you and we can send that to you as well. We have hard copies, but we have free digital downloads that you can get. Jana dropped that link in the chat. Megan dropped that link in the chat. So you can click on that right there and you can download your own copy if you don't have one already. I would say like this is a free thing that we do for everybody. We're not asking anything from you other than that we're going to give this to you because we think it's so valuable to what you guys do. You can learn what other people are doing that's similar to you, and you can learn some stuff that maybe you should be doing as well. Also within that trends report has QR codes if you have the physical copy, or it has links that you can click on if you have the digital copy for a lot of resources, ones that we've mentioned here, like the marketing plan. We have an AI resource. Sorry, that was real country of me right there. AI resource. Megan says, click on Jana's link that she dropped there. So click on that one that Jana Eatman dropped in there if you want to get your trends report. It has an AI resource that has 25 AI prompts that our social media manager worked really hard on to make himself. So you can have, when Eddie was talking about those super prompts, it has those in there to help you create your own content. What we're doing here, right? We're giving it away. We want you to be successful in what you do. And then if you want help, we'll be glad to help you with it as well. So if you'd like to book a call, you can do that with us as well. There'll be links within that trends report to do that. Nikki has a question. Can you provide insights on the newsletter effectiveness and any templates that you recommend? I think, Eddie, that's a question for you there because I do not. We do send out a Spotlight Branding newsletter once a week that goes out with some helpful tips and things that we provide for you guys as well. But
Absolutely.
As far as newsletters, that
insider newsletter effectiveness. I mean, we're going, like I said, for us, I said the industry standard is usually about 17 to 28% on open rate. We have our account managers. So if you work with us, you get a copywriter that creates the content and writes the words. And you have an account manager that's going to be very client facing. And every 6 months, they're going to go over the results call. And one of the results they're going to talk about is how frequently people open up your newsletter. So yes, I mean, can I give you a specific tangible result as to how much money you're going to make on a newsletter? Absolutely not. But the fun thing about that is I pulled this from our CEO is like, I asked people, how often do you hand out your business card? And they said, oh, I hand them out all the time. I said, all right, okay, what is your return on investment on your business card? How many people have you gotten? What is the dollar? How much money did you spend on your business card versus how much money you're returning? And nobody has an answer. Nobody. I mean, I sure don't either. But the fun thing there is that you're still going to hand out business cards. And the newsletter is the same sort of thing. And it is making sure that you have an existing audience. And we're trying to increase your referrals through that existing audience. We have a classic study we pulled from Texas in terms of about, I think it was 82% are willing to refer a professional to another one of their friends, but only about 29% do simply because they forget their name. So when we talk about trying to increase your referrals or increase the amount of clients you have for the minimum effective dose for a very small amount of money, we're talking about newsletters, because even if you can generate you can increase your referrals. And a lot of times when we talk to clients on these results calls and we say, well, hey, how many referrals are you getting? Because we definitely want to know these things. Because for us, ROI, we want you to have more referrals. We want you to have better clients. We want you to have a higher win rate. I'm not talking about cases. I'm talking about in terms of how fresh a prospective client is, how quickly you convert them into a paying client. Because if they come in reading your newsletter, following your blogs, following on social media, they're more primed to become a paying client versus a prospective one. And so the other thing too is being able to charge what you're worth. A lot of time we never tell our clients to charge less, and we talk about Google price shopping. We want you to charge what you're worth. I mean, we've had clients, and I'm veering off a little bit here, but they branded themselves so well, they were able to sell their firm, or they were able to charge higher rates without ever touching or even gaining another client. Simply be, I mean, now they're working the same amount of time for more money, or or some of them cashed out. But the point is with the newsletter, it's this constant conversation you're having with your existing network. And as you begin, we encourage people to network. As you network, as you get more leads on your website, you simply give them. If we're a company like us, we simply give me your addresses. So we pump this newsletter out to these people. And I said, most of the time, about 40% are going to open them. So you're staying in touch. You're staying top of mind. I mean, top of mind awareness is a pinnacle factor when it comes into increasing referrals. We're trying to triple your referrals just by staying top of mind. It's a lot more cost effective than dumping money into trying in the first page of Google.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Nikki, I'm glad that helped you. Okay, we have one last thing for you guys that have stuck around to the end. We're also
I'm waiting for this. I couldn't imagine what it's going to be.
Able to stick around till the end.
So good.
Oh, it's going to be so exciting. All right. We are launching something. And because you guys joined this webinar, we are letting you guys know about it first. So we are launching 3 free months of marketing services. If you sign up now through May 31st, so the rest of everybody out there won't find out about this until May 1st. But because you guys joined this webinar, we're letting you guys know about it right now. Jana just dropped that link in the chat. You can click that link. And you get 3 free months of marketing services. So we're calling it Mayhem, but we're letting you guys know about it earlier. And we are so excited. It's the Mayhem promotion. We're really excited about that. We're going to provide these services free for you for 3 months. So click on that link, fill out the form, and you'll get all the information about how you can get 3 free months of marketing. It's amazing. I'm so excited about this. You guys are going to get so much value out of that, and you can see exactly what we do, why we do it. And I hope you can tell too from this webinar how much we love what we do, how much we love working with these clients, right? Eddie is one of our copywriters. We also have wonderful account managers. Fanny's been in the chat. She's one of our amazing leaders here, and she leads the account managers and the copywriters. And we have so many others that work with us too, that you'll just fall in love with. And they really do become part of your team, right? And you get to know them. And Eddie, we give Eddie a hard time sometimes, but our clients absolutely love working with him. And we just love our clients.
No,
they do. I promise they do. I hear great
things. So the fun part about this
every
3 months, you're getting a full-term marketing team. You're gonna get an account manager. You're gonna get a copywriter. We have a graphic designer. I mean, so you're getting everything that we'd give a paying client for absolutely free. I mean, a lot of times, I have a buddy who sells videos for $10,000, $15,000 a piece for marketing videos. And he tells his clients, even though you're paying me $15,000, don't expect this to work for 6 months. I mean, marketing's a slow burn. So why not take 3 months and just eat up 3 months, build your audience, build your brand while doing it without paying.
Yeah, Nikki, there is no payment until August of 2024. And then if you fill out that form, you'll get all the details on everything else that goes with it. But yeah, we are offering those 3 free months of marketing. So click that link, fill out the form, somebody will contact you. And
maybe we can work together, Nikki. Yeah,
that go along with that.
Maybe you could stop with me.
But we are. Yeah, you get to work.
No, 30 minutes once a quarter. That's all we do.
Every
3
day.
months of content. We are fishing here. We are not. Yeah, trust me. You'll speak to me as very little, but we'll get a lot of leverage out of it. I don't want to eat up too much of your time. You're welcome, Nikki.
You guys will have a great time together too. Whoever you end up working with, we have amazing copywriters. We have amazing account managers. Like Eddie said, we have a graphic designer too that does beautiful work. We're so happy with the stuff that she turns out for us. So so click that link, fill out the form, and look forward to talking to you guys soon.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us today. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Bye.